right, he is just resistant to gravity, I guess. Donald Trump, in his latest poll, shows his national lead. This is the second time in as many days that shows his lead is building, his appeal is building among Republicans across the country. Now, different strokes in different states. As you know, in Iowa, he trails Ted Cruz in two separate polls. But it does seem to indicate that the comments he made about Muslims and banning any more coming into this country, could we sort all of this terror stuff out, but does not appear to be hurting him. If anything, it's helping him. A reaction right now from the Republican National Committee Chairman, Reince Priebus, who I think is getting ready for some sort of a debate. It's not an FBN debate, so I frankly can't be bothered. But anyway, Reince, it's very good to have you. Are you surprised? I know you have to play fair with everybody in the party and all that this phenomenon that is called Donald Trump, that he continues to elevate in popularity. He will once again be in that center pole position.
Well, I mean, no doubt about it. He's the front runner, and you know, it's early in the process. I know it doesn't seem like that, but actually, I think it's kind of you know, winding up the year and starting up again in January. But clearly, he's the front runner. He's saying things that a lot of people agree with, and so we'll see how it shakes out. I think there's a long way to go, and I think even Donald Trump would tell you the same thing. There's a long way to go. It's a marathon, and it'll be exciting tonight. And, you know, all eyes are on the Republican Party, and I think for that, it's a gift to our party and our prospects. You know,
Reince, you said it's still early, and it is, and we still have a ways to go, which we do. But it's almost, I read in between the lines, that you hope things will change in that time. Am I reading that correctly?
No, you know, I don't, honestly. I think the nice thing about the Republican National Committee is that, you know, having a party that has its act together on the ground, has its act together with data, a party that doesn't embarrass itself with not being prepared. I think we could have been a lot more prepared 4 years ago. That unifies everybody. So whether you're for Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Carly Fiorina, whoever you're for, you know that you have to have a national party that has its act together, and that's why we're in this space where we don't pick winners, we don't pick losers, but we're here to be a good national party that has its act together, Neil. All
right, you know all the scuttlebutt in the Washington Post story that you and some of your big muckety-muck chieftains in the Republican National Committee were gathering at a restaurant in Washington to deal with the possibility of a brokered convention and, by extension, stop Trump. Is that true? Was that true?
Well, I think I'd be a little bit smarter than to go to a public restaurant and call a meeting to talk about something that you can't broker, or you can't engineer a brokered convention. I mean, so this was a regular meeting, Neil.
You could say that the party leaders, and I've said on this show that the math looks more and more likely that someone is not going to arrive in Cleveland with all the delegates they'd need to be the party nominee.
Right,
now, that might change there, what's the party, but that the math favors just such a scenario. Now, having said that, I don't think there's any harm in talking about a brokered convention. I think what bothered Donald Trump is what maybe you guys were trying to stop it. Was that true?
No. I mean, we've talked to the Trump people. They know better. They know we're not meeting in a public restaurant with people to talk about how to engineer a brokered convention to stop people. I mean,
well,
it's ridiculous.
He appears to think you guys don't like him.
I don't think that's the case. I think if you ask him about what he thinks about me and the RNC, just like he did over the weekend on Fox and Friends, he said the same thing. They're treating me well, they're treating me fine, they're treating me fairly. That's what he would say if you ask him the question. My point is, though, to the premise of your question, I mean, I just want to make sure it's really clear, because there's this narrative out there that's ridiculous, which is that I was calling a meeting. This is a monthly meeting among many, many meetings in Washington. We have monthly lunches, monthly breakfasts, monthly dinners. Some of these things I need to be at. We check off the box and I'm there. And for 20 minutes in a 2-hour meeting, people asked questions about the primary process. That was it. So,
well, that wouldn't surprise me, nor does that
narrative
sound sinister or Machiavellian. But it gets me back to the point, I get a little interpretation, I guess, that is there concern, or was there among the so-called bigwigs like yourself that Donald Trump could pull this off, that he'd be damaging to you? There was a fear that, I guess, some thought in the party that he's alienating Latinos and women, that I think it was Senator McCain who said if he got the nomination, he'd take the party down to defeat. We could lose the Senate, I think were his words. Was there and is there that alarm among some of your colleagues?
No, it wasn't that at all, Neil. It started out, hey, is it true that 20-some% of the delegates could be awarded on Super Tuesday of March 1st? What does a winner-take-all mean? What does a hybrid state do? What does it mean when a state is proportional? How many delegates does it take to be at a convention? I mean, the most rudimentary types of questions that we would brief the media on on a weekly basis. So, I mean, that's what we're talking about. I think the right headline of that meeting would have been, RNC chairman attends routine dinner that he's attended for 6 years, and for 20 minutes people asked questions about the primary process. That's not as fun as the RNC chairman calls a secret meeting in Washington, D.C. to talk about how to engineer a brokered convention. I mean,
all right, well, then I'll ask you about what you had on the menu in another interview. But for now, I do want to ask you about, do you worry in that event that you have a lot of candidates still in the race, you do face a scenario where no one has enough delegates? What are you going to do in that event, or what are party officials looking at doing in that event? Or do you think that someone arrives in Cleveland with the delegates they need to become the nominee?
I said it before, I'll say it again. By the end of March, mid-April, I believe that we're going to have a presumptive nominee, just like I always have. I'm not backing off of that. Nothing
Presumptive nominee doesn't mean they have all the delegates.
It's just like Mitt Romney was in April of 4 years ago. So I believe that we'll have a nominee at the convention. But if, for example,
Trump, you're perfectly okay with that?
We're going to support whoever the nominee is, and we're going to have a party that's better than it's ever been before.
All right. Reince Priebus, good luck tonight, and we'll see you in about a month for the FBN debate, which is really the debate you got to watch.
Looking forward to it, Neil. Thank you
so much.